Good morning, good morning. My name is Rosie Thompson and I am the owner and operator of RKT-LIFE Purpose Coaching. You may visit my website to learn more about me, which is Rosie, the letter K, and then Thompson.com. On there you will find several things of what I have my hands into. I'm a life purpose coach, I'm a mentor, I am a licensed ordained minister, as well as I do speaking engagements, podcasts, virtually, whatever assignments come to me virtually. I also do individual and mentoring grouping with individually or either with a group. So you can take a look at my website and you'll also learn on there that I'm an author, a self-published author of 4 amazing books. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. They are available on Amazon.com as well as BarnesandNobles.com. And you can also visit the Norman, Oklahoma store and you'll find my material in there as well. My first book was Movers, Shakers, and Standbyers, and then the afterbirth of that produced a second book, Movers, Shakers, and Standbyers Kids Edition. Their world is full of opportunity as well, and so it's available in hardback and on ebook as well. And then the third book was Serial Repeat Offender Victims. And then my final, well, I'm not going to say final, but my last book is called Lord, Teach Me to Stay Out of Your Way, Sir. And it's about the Abraham blessings, and that book is available only in ebook form. And right now, for the month of August, all 5 of those books, they are available for all 4 of those books are available for $5 each. I'm running a special on that. You can kind of scroll through my page and you'll see links that will lead you directly to the Amazon.com site to purchase those books online for you at that special rate. I'm also a content creator. I create designs when it comes to logos, when it comes to flyers, when it comes to menus, a restaurant menu or a small business menu. I create logos. I also create business cards. I can put your logo on a business card and announcements. I kind of got my hands on a little bit of everything, being a little bit more spontaneous in this season of my life. I also can do mock pictures, So again, visit the website and you will see on the website what I do have to offer you all. So now today, I come to you to talk to you about misguided perceptions and how they shape and form our world and how they can create situations that we can avoid. Now let's look at the words themselves before I go into the topic of what I want to speak to you about and how harmful and how destructive perception can be, and being presumptuously as well. So when we look at the word perception is a belief or an opinion that is formed before enough information is available to form it correctly. So it's an opinion or a thought, something that is preconceived, a pre-notion. It's an idea that is gathered before one has more information than what they need to draw any form of a conclusion. And even when we do draw conclusions, we have to be careful. Because sometimes, no matter how much information we do have about a situation, a circumstance, people, incident, or whatever, we still, as humans, do not have enough information. So then what are we drawing our conclusions on? So again, we're talking about perceptions and the misguided notions in which can happen from those. And then let's talk about, I'm giving you the definition of perception, which I just did. Now let me give you the definition of being presumptuous, okay? It's failing to observe the limits, a situation of what is permitted or appropriate. So presumption, it allows for information to be gathered that is misappropriated, that is not appropriated, and nor permitted. It's not warranted. It's not wanted, okay? And so this is what happens when we become presumptuous about a situation or circumstance, about people, and we form our own perceptions about those, okay? And I'm sure you've probably been on the end of perceptions drawn about you or something that you may have known of or aware of, and people have been presumptuous about you or circumstances or just in general, something that may be the topic of the world or what have you. And so again, a lot of times, and as humans, we will never have enough information about anything, okay? But I'm gonna give you some tips and some clues on how we can better facilitate situations like that. And sometimes it's just simply pray. And when we pray, it's not what we think, what we feel, because again, we're going back to perception, or we'll be going back to being presumptuous. Okay, so misguided perceptions. Misguided perceptions. It's an opinion based from an individual around a circumstance, situation, or people. It's thought provoked. Okay, it's dealing with our own thoughts. We're provoking them from our emotions and what we feel and what we think, as well as it can be malicious. Okay, perception and being presumptuous, which I've already given the definitions, can be quite malicious, because when we don't have enough information, we want to draw our own conclusions. Okay, so it's an incorrect idea or open to thoughts regarding something or someone. Okay, and it's a state of being critical. We can be very, very critical, and critical is when you say that word critical. Critical, my goodness, it brings such judgment, such a unwarranted opinion from someone that really is coming from a place of unknown, because they don't know the whole situation, whole circumstance. They don't know the life of someone. They don't know why people do what they do. They don't understand this, but all they know is what they think and what they feel. So it becomes critical. Good morning, Miss Royale. God bless you, beautiful. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. And if you have any comments and feedback during any of the live, as far as if you're on for the completion of it, be sure and put that in there, beautiful. Any questions or anything, any comments, okay? So, talking about perception. It's the action and behavior of something that's unreasonable because it's merely based on false information, okay? The information is false and it's coming from one's perception, the way one would process a situation, a way to regard something, understand and interpret this information, okay? It's a mental impression, and we got to be careful about those mental impressions, because where did we get that mental impression from? How did we become knowledgeable of this information? Sometimes our mental impressions can be based off of bad circumstances or situations, or just things that we've gone through in life that we didn't understand and we didn't quite process it well. We didn't give it enough thought. We didn't intake enough information to be able to heal from it, to understand it, to know what is the good and perfect will for that situation. So then this mental impression that we impose upon a situation, that's what makes it become a perception, okay, being presumptuous. And it can also be so off base as they've applied to it the said situation of the person, or situation, or circumstance, okay? I believe we are seeing a lot of this in the world today. We're seeing a lot of critical opinions, critical judgment, critical behavior, critical attitudes, critical lines being drawn, separation coming in, where sometimes separation does not need to take place. But because we've had these preconceived notions and also become presumptuous in our ways, in our thinking, in our mental impressions of what we didn't properly process, then we've allowed a lot of separation to come in. We've allowed and permitted a lot of division to come in. We've allowed and permitted a lot of hurt and a lot of pain to take place. And this pain and all these things have taken place within homes, within marriages, within relationships, within the community, and within the world. When we think about the world, there are so many different sectors of the world, but best believe, like let's say two nations are supposed to come together in harmony, in agreement, in what they each stand for. There may be a little difference, but yet and still the overall picture is something that they both have the heart, the vision for. But when we become presumptuous in our ways, when we allow our perceptions to come in, guess what? There becomes a divide. And then we become enemies. They become enemies. So the greater good, it cannot happen. So when you think about this in homes, when you think about this in marriages, when you think about this in relationship coming into play, how much dividing and division, and even amongst families, have occurred? That does occur, that's still occurring, where people are at odds with each other, and sometimes that division has taken place for so long, they don't even realize what divided them in the first place. And then sometimes even that division is based off of what someone else perceived. their perception, them being presumptuous. So then what does that have to do with you and I? Why are we being affected by that? Why do we allow those things to continue to affect us when the basis and the merit of it, the mental impressions, was not warranted? They were very critical. They were presumptuous. They made a judgment. They formed a judgment without knowing all the facts. And remember, as humans, we will never know it all. But how do we get to that? I'll talk about that a little bit later. So, being presumptuous, okay? It leads us to do something without right or permission. We don't have the right, we don't have the permission, but how often do we take on someone's right or someone's permission without being given permission in a matter? How often do we take that on? And we take it on because we become critical, because we didn't understand or we didn't have all that information that was needed. Okay? And so when we try and perceive a situation as it relates to someone else, we are being presumptuous. Because listen, I'm not in your head. I'm not living your life. I'm not in your body. I don't know what you're feeling. I don't know, maybe not know what you're trying to express or even what you're going through. So for me to form any type of an opinion about the matters in which you may be going through, that perhaps you share with me or you didn't share with me, no one will ever still have enough information regarding that. Now, that's not to say that what they've shared does not inform us and give us more knowledge, or even that the Holy Spirit can allow us to gain more revelation and knowledge. But you know, when we walk around in a critical state, a critical position, a critical mindset, with mental impressions that are so off base, God, the Holy Spirit, you know, the way that he governs and moves for his people and across the nation and the world, he's not going to give someone that type of information because he knows they're not going to utilize it and use it in the right, proper way, in the right fashion. Until we can come away from ourselves and what we think, what we feel, we will never be able to grow and mature in the way that God desires us to grow, that we can be better servants, we can be a better help, we can be a better influence in our homes, in a marriage, in a relationship, in a friendship, in communities, on our jobs, wherever. I tell you what, when we sit back to listen and listen without trying to respond, we will know and understand and hear greater and better. I see someone else has joined. I can't see who you are, but thank you for joining in and tuning in. And I do hope that I share something with you and Miss Royal. Good morning, sis. God bless you. It just come up that you're watching. God bless you, beautiful. I love you and my family. God bless you and thank you for tuning in. We're talking about misguided perception, where we become presumptuous in our ways and our thinking. And that leads us to being critical and with misguided information about a situation, person, what have you. And so, good morning, Charity. God bless you, beautiful. Auntie loves you, babe. God bless you. You keep soaring too, beautiful. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so as I was saying, when we try and perceive a situation as it relates to someone else, we are being presumptuous, very presumptuous. And I previously gave the definition of presumptuous and also perceptions, okay? It's an imposement of what we feel and what we think and our desire for the outcome to be. So when we walk in presumptuous and being in our perceptions, what we're doing is trying to tailor that situation, trying to tailor that relationship, trying to tailor our marriage or our connection or whatever it may be to what we want the outcome to be. How unfair is that? We all have a right to feel the way we feel, good or bad, because it's our right, it's our choice. But when someone else tries to come in and tell you how to feel, what to think, and how to do it, they're being presumptuous and also having their own perceptions. Now, let me put a little plug in there. This is not to say when you have a life coach, when you have a therapist, when you have a counselor, when you have a pastor, when you have a someone who's mentoring you, or just someone in a position of respect that you honor and they have authority. This is not to say that what they don't share with you would be being presumptuous or their own perception, okay? They can be speaking from a place of truth, known truth, and then being inspired by the Holy Spirit, okay? So with that being said, in that case, it would not be an imposement. But when we are presumptuous and we have our own perceptions and we're being critical And it's our mental impressions that is an imposement. And it's us trying to make them feel and think what we feel and what we think, okay? So there is a difference, okay? So I want to say that in doing so, we will overstep our bounds. We will take things to the limit, as well as cross a lot of lines in doing so. And this is where the divide comes in relationships, in marriages, in homes, in families, just different situations in the world and nations, because we're overstepping our bounds. We don't have the legal right nor the access to do what we're trying to do through our imposement, through what we perceive, our perception, in us being presumptuous. It can be classified as being overconfident, okay, in what we think we know. It's also a very biased in nature, and it's to suit us. Okay, we want things to suit us and tailor us and our needs and what we want and what we desire when it comes to someone else's life, when it comes to someone else's choices and decisions. Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about how that shows up and how that looks. Okay, so not having enough information yet oversharing. So when it comes to these different situations and the people and what they're going through, number one, we don't have enough information. And then when we go to putting in our excerpts of what we feel and what we think, we overshare, okay? We begin to overshare because, again, we don't have enough information. So then what are you sharing? It's your perceptions, okay? And you're being presumptuous in your ways, okay? And communication. And communication works both ways. I read the other day in some of my study time, God gave us one mouth and two ears. So that means he wants us to listen more than us speaking. I don't believe a lot of people really do that in this day and time. Be it in whatever, your home, your marriage, families, whatever. We don't listen enough to each other. We don't honor each other enough because we don't listen to their hearts. People can be pouring out their hearts, their needs, their desires, how they would actually like for you to help them. And we didn't take the time to really, really, really listen, but we wanted to speak. We wanted to form our opinions, which goes back to perception. We become critical. We begin to overshare, and we're not sharing what is needed in that moment. I've learned quite a bit. Years ago, the Holy Spirit shut my mouth because, and it was for a good reason. Back in the day, and this is when I was younger, and even to my mid-20s, my mouth, woo, woo, woo. Woo, woo, woo. It was that dangerous. It was that deadly. I spoke a lot of death to situations. I didn't speak life. Now, I did this because there was so much hurt. And I harbored so much bitterness and anger and frustration because of things that I didn't get healed from. And one of them happened to be the molestation, abuse, sexual abuse. Because anytime someone imposes themselves on you sexually, that is an imposement of abuse. That is outright abuse. I don't care who it is. It could be a family member. It could be a stranger. It could be a family friend. It could be whoever. When that happens to you and you don't, number one, have a support system to help guide you through that situation. And then you may have a support system, but maybe you don't share it. Maybe you don't tell it. Maybe no one really knows. So then you have not dealt with that. Well, guess what? So your body parts, your emotions, your thoughts, everything about you is going to deal with that knowingly and unknowingly. But unfortunately, people don't realize how unknowingly they deal with situations. And so when my mouth used to be bad, it was from the root of me unknowingly not dealing with situations that had happened. And then guess what? From that situation, because I didn't deal with it, other situations began to compound upon those situations. And then many, many areas of my life began to be affected. Be it me being a mother. Well, first, number one, let's just put this out here. Me being a woman. Because God made me a woman. And back then I was a young girl, a little girl, and then a young girl, then a teenager, and then a mom. And guess what? I missed out on a whole lot because I did not rightfully and righteously, with the leading of God, I did not deal with those things. So then how did I manage to get through those? If I can be honest with you, I didn't. I chose other avenues and other methods because number one, I didn't want to look weak. I didn't want to appear to be a punk. punk out on things, situations, whatever. I had this hardcore exterior about me. Yes, I know some of you all can't believe that, but yes, Rosie did. People from way back in the day that when I hear the name Rosie K, I say, oh, they know me. And so I used to be like, oh God, you know, and then I used to go through a phase of, listen, if I ever did anything to you back then, please forgive me. And some things I would remember and I would ask them to forgive me for those things that I did back then, because that wasn't Rosie. That wasn't who God made me to be. But because I didn't deal with things, I took those things and the compounded things on top of those things into me being a little girl, me being an adolescent, a teenager, a young adult, a woman, a wife, brief for about 4 years, and a mother, and so on and so forth. Every part of me, a nurse, a student, every part of my life was affected. And it was affected because I was not living my true, authentic self. I didn't know how to do that. And I'm going to tell you my problem from that was because, yeah, the support system may or may not have been there. But my problem was that I didn't tell that secret until I was my early 30s. I did not share. And I had to share it with the right person too. Who I knew that I held and harbored resentment and unforgiveness in my heart for. But the moment I began to do that, the moment my life shifted and changed, things began to change. And so I said that to say this. When we don't have enough information about people, see, nobody knew that about me. It doesn't excuse what I had went through and the way I displayed things, but people were presumptuous about me. They made perceptions about me unknowingly because they didn't have information about me. And guess what? I didn't have it about me either. But this is how I've learned to become empowered, to take control of the things that I have the ability to take control of by being responsible, accountable, and making the best choices and decisions that I can. And then, not only that, but learning to listen more and close my mouth. So as I stated earlier, God shut my mouth for a whole year when I was younger. Because my response, if you took me there, I didn't just go there, but if you took me there, I did something, I would let it rip. I would let you have it. I wanted to go upside you one way and down the other. But here recently, the Holy Spirit has really closed my mouth for me to be able to listen and learn more. Now, I was listening and learning back then, but the whole concept of it then was to learn how to respond the right way. Okay, and I could even hear myself what I wanted to respond. So I was listening, but it was more of to not keep speaking death, not keep being presumptuous or having my own perceptions without enough knowledge. And me being I was very, very critical in those stages and hours. Okay, and some of you know this. So, but here recently, as I've moved away from that, and as I still keep a guard and a watch and covered over that, whatever God's brought me through. But here recently, this year, it is more of being quiet just to listen. When you listen, I don't care what you're listening to, who you're listening, you take in a lot of information that builds you, that equips you, that prepares you, that suits you and boots you, that will give you greater understanding, that will allow you to have more love, more forgiveness, and it also brings healing and deliverance of things that you just, if you hadn't have took the time to stop and listen, you would never have known you needed that healing in. And see, this is why the world is so full of misguided communication when it comes to misguided perceptions and misguided notions from people. Because we've not taken the time to really hear them or hear from the Spirit or hear what is being really said and spoken. That perhaps even they don't even know the truth yet. Because I'm going to tell you, most times, because back then, if I would have known what I became aware of, I would have did it a lot sooner. Because it was worth it. You're worth it. So whatever you may be holding on to, whatever may get you to lash out at people at, guess what? God wants to show you more. Because it's not that you're angry or frustrated or just hurt or embarrassed or ashamed. There's more to that than what you know. And until you understand the more, you will never know, and you'll never really truly be able to get past what you need to know. And you need to know everything that God wants you to know, when he wants you to know it, and how he wants you to know it. God is never late. He is always on time. We hold up the process because we become critical, we become judgmental, we become biased. We want to dictate and determine situations, outcomes, circumstances, all of that. Because what do you think I was doing when I didn't share what needed to be shared? I was trying to control the situations. I was trying to maneuver things. And really and truly and honestly, I thought I was doing the right thing. Can I just be honest? Y'all know I am. I thought me not sharing, me not telling, me not really expressing myself was me protecting others, not wanting to hurt them, not wanting to harm them, and then protecting myself or protecting other people that I love. Listen, no matter what we feel or what we think we're doing, if we don't go about it the right way, it will never happen. The real you can never show up. The real authentic you can never be. And this is why, I believe this is why we have a lot of people dominating other people, controlling other people, using witchcraft and manipulation towards other people, and even to speak for them, just dictate their every move, because we don't know how to show up for us. And then even in families, the separation, the division, a lot of that stuff is based off of witchcraft as well. Control is a form of witchcraft. When let's say you have family members that don't get along with other family members, and those family members that don't get along with the other family members, they don't want you to get along with them. That's control. Guess what? That's witchcraft. And then witchcraft goes even further, but we're not going to talk about that. That's not the topic of this subject. But the thing about it is, when you don't gain control, the right perspective, which is God's perspective of you and your life, come off and under things that you've hidden, that have remained hidden, that have remained in secret in your life, in your marriage, in your relationships, then guess what? You are under control of an entity, of forces, of spirits, of manipulation, of deceit, deception. You're even being deceptive because the truth ain't came out. So then what is that? That means there's a level of deception in you, and you may not have looked at it that way. But anything we hide, be it we didn't do it, we didn't cause it, we were victims. If you remain under that, that means you are living your life in deception, in lies, and not the truth. Imagine that. So then we wonder, how can people, how can the world, how can circumstances, how can situations control us and bring about all these accusations when they don't even know us? And most times you don't even know you. Because when I walked around in that, I didn't know me either. And guess what? If I remained in that, or either go back to that, or even remain where I'm at today, I will never continue to get to know Rosie, the real me, who God created me to be. So every day, every waking moment, we have a responsibility to become aware of who we are, what we're to be doing, when and how, and everything that God knows and has said and desires for us. But we'll never know that if we keep hiding and living in the shadows of others, of people, in a marriage. Because even in a marriage, the two become one, but yet guess what? Before the two became one, you were one. You were whole. You didn't marry somebody to make you whole. I hope you didn't. I hope you were whole before you went in there, that the two can become better than one. That's the whole purpose and goal of marriage covenant. And there's more to it. But what I'm saying is, you don't lose your identity. You gain more. And through the more, yeah, you're going to have trials and tribulations, but you're going to have so much more. That person and you will enhance one another. You will support one another. You will love one another. You will grow with one another. When you get married, you don't stop being you. And some of you ain't never figured out who you were and who you are. So then what type of responsibility do you put on that mate? Do you put on the one that you are engaged with? That you put on the one that you are purposely dating with a purpose for? What weight do you shift on them and put on them? That's alone. Listen, as an adult, You know, and I'm only going to date for purpose, so I don't date. It's got to be purpose, God-driven, for an end goal of marriage. But when someone begin to, in the midst of getting to know them, and then they begin to put a whole lot of expectations and desires on me, that listen, it sounds like you need a maid, and you're not looking for a spouse, for a helpmate, for that Proverbs 31 woman. It sounds like you really need a maid. You know, and so that's just too much expectation. That's just too much weight. Guess what? I will never sign up for that. Now, that don't mean, ladies and gentlemen, because listen, you got to figure out what works within your home. He may be better at cooking. Oh, bless God. I pray he is. That don't mean I'm not going to cook, though, okay? But I'm saying you got to figure out what works for the two of you within your home. You may be better at doing the bills, doing the finances, okay? So that means you do that. That's your responsibility. But yet, you make sure they're aware of what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. Because you don't want to leave them in the dark, and they shouldn't leave you in the dark about things. And then you don't want to depend on them to do everything. You need to know what to do. So for some of you women that have young boys, young men, children, teach them how to cook. Teach them how to wash dishes, how to clean up. My kids did practically everything. Now, not sewing or anything like that, you know, but if a man knows how to sew, bless God, ain't nothing wrong with that. I believe anything that men know how to do, that women know how to do, they actually can do it better. It's just my take. And it has nothing to do with them not being a male, not being a man. It just means God gifted them in an area that perhaps he didn't gift you in. But if he's gifted in that, let him run with that. If you gifted in that, man of God, let her run with that. Y'all work together. And this is how the two become one, not becoming envious or jealous of one another and having these preconceived notions and being presumptuous and having these perceptions. Because that tears down your marriage. It tears down the person. You don't love them. You don't honor them. You don't regard them. And I don't know why God done took me in this direction, but I'm going in it. Okay, it's for a reason. And guess what? I'm being built up and encouraged too, because I'm not married, but I bless that man of God. And I'm praying. I believe that just as well as God is equipping me and teaching me and girding me up and moving me and propelling me, he's doing the same for him, if not the more. Because guess what? I desire that man of God to be greater than I am. I want the right covering. I don't want to be the dominant person in the marriage. Matter of fact, I don't even want to be that. That used to be Rosie. Because of all the hidden things, the secrets that I didn't deal with. So then I had to tough up. Remember I said I didn't want to be no punk. I didn't want to punk out. I didn't want to seem weak. So what did that do to me? And my emotions, my feminine side of me, it made me harsh. It made me bitter. It made me angry. So then what do you think showed up in my brief marriage when it did? Now, it wasn't always that. No, I don't want y'all to think that. But guess what? It did appear as head. I really did not allow him to be the man that he could have been. I was a few years older than him, maybe a year and a half, you know, and he was a little immature. Women, we naturally are more mature than men, but whatever their strengths are, they got it more than we got it. And see, this is why God does that, to bring balance. I was out of balance in my previous marriage. I was. And he was too. We were both out of balance. So it's not to blame him nor to blame me. He was a beautiful man with a beautiful spirit, beautiful heart. He really, really was. But we were not aligned. We were not equally yoked. We were not. God did not tell me, yes, Rosie, that's your husband. He didn't. I married out of selfish reasons. I did. Because all of my other sisters, they were married, and I felt like I was the last one that wasn't going to get married. And he seemed like a good, suitable person, and so I said I do. Ladies, don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Okay? Now, that marriage wasn't bad. There was no abuse, mishandling things in that nature where anybody was feeling, no. But it wasn't what God had for me. And I wasn't what God had for him. Can I just be honest? Because we made that happen. We were presumptuous in our ways. We had our own perceptions entering into that marriage, even before entering into that marriage. So see how perceptions and being presumptuous can land you and lead you in circumstance situations that you have no godly idea, godly business being in. You don't. So unless we can deal with these things, we're going to keep ending up in situations that we have no business being in, and or trying to take over and take control of situations, people, and things that we have no business to do. We're overstepping our bounds. We've crossed the lines, okay? Okay, so let's see. Make sure I didn't have any feedback, comment, or whatever, input. And whoever is tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm about to wrap this up. So we tend to show little respect for others by doing things we have no right to do under perceptions and being presumptuous. I don't care how much respect we think we're giving or showing. In the marriage and relationships, families, connections, on the job, whatever, we show little respect. And if we listen, remember, one mouth, two ears, and it's for us to listen more than to talk more. If we listened, we'll know that we've not given much regard and much respect. If we ask the right questions and we're ready to really receive, they would tell us. But to me, the situation and circumstance should tell you. Especially if you're talking a lot and you're never listening. Okay, so self-righteousness, it takes over and it shows up quite a bit. That's self-righteousness. We're walking in our own self-righteousness of what we think, what we feel, what we want, what we desire. That's what presumptuousness and perception does. It's a form of self-righteousness because it's about you. It's not about anybody else but you. Okay, so presumption can even be sharing too much information regarding someone when it is not your place to tell. Okay, when we do that, we have overstepped so many bounds, and then we wonder why things are in turmoil and disarray. For us to sit and talk about someone else, especially if it's something they share with you and you only, we are so wrong. For us to get in the midst of family members and they bring up somebody's name that's not even there, number one, they shouldn't do it. But then the person's not there to defend themselves, we are so wrong. We shouldn't even gather in situations like that. We should not even be a part of things like that. We shouldn't. We should shut that down. If you lift up and raise up a standard, then you will define things and you can change things. I promise you can. Sometimes all it takes is one person to make a difference. And the more that one person stands up and make a difference, then you will reach another one. So that's one person and another person. One could put 1,000, 2, 10,000. Guess what? If we begin to stand up, but stand up right and righteously. And how do we do that? We begin to learn from our ways that are not pleasing and that is not suitable for any situation, right? Okay, so if anyone needs to know something about someone, they should be the one to tell them. It shouldn't be us. We don't need a spokesperson, especially when you're grown. Now, if you are advocate for someone, for your children, someone you take care of, someone you have medical proxy for, then yeah, you advocate and you do your best regarding that avocation. You do that. But otherwise, if someone didn't tell you to tell someone else and they brought something to you, even if they don't say nothing to nobody else. It's just not your place. It's not my place. And when we do that, we are walking in self-righteousness. We are walking in messiness. We're messy. We are spreading venom. We're doing a whole lot of things. Okay, so I see a few more have tuned in. God bless you, ladies, for tuning in. I love you all. Thank you. And I hope I'm sharing something with you to bless you and bless your day and bless your life. Good morning, Miss Kenya, you beautiful doll, you, your gorgeous self. Good morning, Miss Brittany. God bless you, beautiful. You said I stopped replying until they got the picture. Babe, I'm not sure what you're talking about. You can maybe let me know if it's okay to put it on here. You can put that in there. But I want to acknowledge you, ladies, and thank you all for tuning in. And please go back and listen to the beginning because this is some good nuggets. I'm taking it in myself. So here's some things that we can do to help us to not be presumptuous and help us to not have our own perceptions, okay? And I want you to know that perceptions and being presumptuous, it makes us become critical, very judgmental and harsh. And then controlling and manipulating. And it may not be you, but maybe it's someone that is being that way on you. And I shared in the prior segments how you can overcome that. And even my book, Serial Repeat Offender Victims, that would be a good book for you to get your hands on. Okay, the month of August is all of them are just $5. The paperback on Amazon is $5. Scroll through my page and you'll see the link there. Okay, so, and I had to put that in there because that book talks about some individuals that kind of went through some things and they were real life things, but just kind of give you a little tools and encouragement and exercises on what you can do to shut all that mess down, okay? Because nobody has the right to control you. Now me, I give God control of my life. The Holy Spirit and Jesus, Lord, control Rosie. I need you, God. I cannot do this without you. I refuse, Jesus, to do it without you. Because every time and any time I will find myself getting out of the will of God. Now listen, I'm not perfect. Don't y'all ever think that. And don't you ever put me on a pedestal to make you think that I'm perfect. Because just like y'all have struggles, I have struggles. Just like it becomes hard for you guys, hey, whoo, you know? But you know what? We all. But this is why we need more of us and more people to start beginning to walk according to what God wants. And every day is something different. He calls us to something different every day. But guess what? If he calls you to it, he's giving you the grace to it, to do it. Okay? So now, how do we overcome these situations and things? Not make everything about you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Listen, we gotta stop making everything about us. Even when people may say something that could be about us, listen, don't waste your life, your energy, your time, your effort, your emotions, your thoughts, your words. Don't waste it on it becoming about you. Leave it with them. If they spoke it, leave that with them. Let them reap the benefits and the repercussions of that. Because I tell you what, when we don't take that matter up, God's vengeance does. And you know what? God's vengeance, sometimes people think that's just, he can really get him. He gonna beat him down. He gonna curse him. No. God's vengeance could be love for them. Because again, we don't know enough information about them or the situation that drives any of us to be and to do what we do. And I spoke about some things that I used to do. And guess what? Knowing me today, looking at me today, you never would have thought that. But it was because of unhealed areas, okay? So Miss Brittany said, you mentioned that people bring your stories to talk about people that are not present in the past. I would listen and give input, but I said I don't need to listen or give input. Now they don't call. Guess what, Miss Brittany? You did the absolute right best thing. And guess what? You taught them. You showed them how to handle people in situations. Because what they were doing was very, very wrong, malicious. It was gossip. It was backbite. It was tale-bearing. It was wrong. And so you taught them by removing yourself, beautiful, from that picture. Now I get it, baby girl. By removing yourself from that picture, from that scenery, you taught them the right thing to do. Now, whether they get it or not, you watered some seeds. Maybe you planted some seeds, or perhaps you watered some seeds, or perhaps you went and God had you to cultivate the grounds of some of the people. And I believe he even allowed conviction of his spirit. I know he did that upon those who do that. So here's the thing about it. When that one person, because sometimes it's one person. It could be one person within the marriage. It could be one person within the family. It could be one person within a relationship. Guess what? That one person, when everybody else leave them to themselves, they're going to realize, I'm the problem. That wasn't the problem. I'm the problem. Because when you left alone, hear me when I say this, even when you left alone with you, and you may not be that one person, when you're left alone with you in the presence of God, now get in his presence, God will begin to show you things that you have no idea and understanding of why you thought the way you thought. You thought the way you thought, you acted the way you act, you desired some of the things you desired. Man, I cannot tell you the freedom, the revelation, the release of things that God has revealed to me ever since I desired. Well, when I released what he told me to release when I was in my early 30s. And then from that point on, things would happen and I would know, that ain't right. Something's not right about that. That just don't feel like God. That don't feel like his love. It don't feel like his presence. It don't feel like his peace. It don't feel like his joy. It don't even feel like his desire. God, what is that? I would ask him, what is that, Lord? Now, initially, I would go meet in a prayer partner, someone that I knew that was before God, whose life represented that. You know, wasn't just it was a reflection of it, but it wasn't just their talk. I knew. So then I would share with them those secrets, and that's why you got to go back and listen to the front of the video, because I share these things. But I would share with them the secret things that were in my heart that even I was disgusted with, or that I didn't understand, or that made me act a certain way, or made me behave a certain way. I would share with them, and the first time it's like, well, ask God. Well, why do you do that? Do you want to know? I said, absolutely. For me to share that meant I don't want to deal with this no more. And so in the midst of sharing that, immediately, guys, I promise you, God would tell me, give me the root, not a symptom, not a sign, which is frustration or anger or shame or guilt. Those are symptoms and signs, but the root, what root was laid in your life, in my life, that caused us to become and be a certain way, that kept us from being the authentic, genuine persons, beings of who God created us to be. When you get to the point to where you want to know the root about things, that's when you know you are so mature. And today, I don't have to go to that person, but I tell you what, if we're on the phone talking about something and something comes up or rise up, oh, we getting ready to deal with that thing. We getting ready to handle that seriously. So if you don't have that person, I'm praying that God will show you. Now, he ain't gonna give you something you ain't ready for. That's just like when an opportunity comes, if you're not ready for it, it's too late. But God's love. So what I'm saying is, if you really, really want to come from your ways, and listen, I got to do it all the time. As often as God leads me to it, it's my responsibility. So I'm not sharing with you nothing that you guys, that I'm sharing with you all that is not for me first. It's always for me first. Any message that any messenger puts out, it is always for us first. Now, I'm going to say this. I am a life purpose coach. And the way God deals with me is to get to the root of things. Because if you don't get to the root, like I said earlier, every part of your life going to be dealt with. And if God has used me in this aspect, you better know I've had to allow. And I will continue to have to allow him to get to the root of things in order for me to continue to walk the walk that he needs me to walk. And sometimes it can be hard. It can be. But again, we don't have to do it alone. It's his easy and his light that we can flow in, that we can receive the revelation, we can receive the freedom. So if he's equipped and endowed me to do this, then guess what? You better know it's going to show up in Life Purpose Coaching, that RKT Life Purpose Coaching does. And visit my website. Please, guys, no messages through the messenger, Facebook Messenger. Only direct them through my website. At the top and the bottom of the screen, you can leave messages through there. I have had some problems with my server where messages hadn't come through. If you ever message me through my website and I didn't get it, I need you to come on my page and tag me. Tag me on my page and let me know, Rosie, I sent you a message to the website, and we'll go from there, because I don't ignore any messages through my website when it comes to the services that I offer through there, okay? I do mentoring and I do life purpose coaching through individual and group. And matter of fact, I'm looking to do some more things, okay? So if you feel like I've shared something with you to bless you, share the live. Message me through my website. And don't discredit yourself and what God has for you, okay? So let me read a few of the comments, because I did say for you all to comment, and I would respond to that. Let's see, Miss Nakia. Let's see, I know you left a message, beautiful. I'm looking through this, trying to find it. And then I'm getting ready to wrap this live up. I don't want to keep you ladies long. And it's not letting me go get to it. I will respond later, beautiful, okay? Every time I scroll up, it goes back to the top part. So I don't know what's going on with that. And also, listen with intent, more to understand versus respond. Don't be quick to want to respond. Don't be anxious to want to respond before they even begin to talk. And even while they're talking, listen. And while you're listening, God will allow you to hear something that maybe they're not even aware of, but more importantly, what they are saying, what they need, whatever they're sharing. Learn to listen more. Remember, one mouth, two ears. So we're supposed to listen more, okay? Respect the opinions of others, okay? Though they may differ from yours. Listen, we all have a right to our own opinions, whether right or wrong. Just respect it. We can agree to disagree, right? And then two, who's to say we're right? So we got to start respecting people's opinions, okay? It may be what they need in that moment, in that time. But if we don't honor and respect it, they're going to know it, whether you tell them or not. And then you think they want to keep coming back to you, sharing anything with you? No. But if we start listening better, we'll understand that it's not just an opinion. It's what they're living. It's their life. It's their circumstance. It's what they know. And it's true for them. But I'm going to tell you, our truth, your truth versus God's truth, oh man, I want his all the time. Okay? Okay, so now, ask yourself, did I truly understand their needs? Did I listen well enough to understand and know what their needs really are? Or did I just jump in? Was I presumptuous? Did I have my own perception? Okay? So ask yourself, did I truly understand their needs? And then try rephrasing to that individual what they actually said versus what you thought you may have heard, and respond differently. So sometimes it's just rephrasing what they said to you. You share it back to them. Is that what you meant to say? Husband and wives, do this. Communicate, 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 communicate. Listen, you're not going to be the same woman that you are when you entered into that courtship with a purpose. You don't just be dating. Nobody just be dating. And then when you get married, you're not the same woman for when you were courting. And when you get married, you're not the same woman. How well do y'all grow together? How well do y'all learn of each other and learn of yourselves? Are you doing this? Are you inviting God's presence in to teach you to know what is his good and perfect will for, number one, you, and then for your spouse and for your family, for the future plans? Do y'all come together to pray? Do y'all come together to study? Do you cover him while he's sleeping at night? How well do you love him? Do you show him you love him or her? Do you speak their love language? Do you speak what you want to speak to them? This is how I love you, and I'm going to show you I love you. This is the way you need to be loved. That's not it. Unless you can meet their love language. And there's 5 universals. If you get the book by Dr. Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages. The acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, and there's one more. I can't think of it. But each one of us, mine is acts of services. And acts of services could be, man, I'm tired today. I don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like cleaning. They do it. I'm a needy person. I do what need to be done. That ain't no problem. But sometimes you just want to pray. Sometimes you just don't want to do it. And I think most women's, probably the majority, I'm not going to say most, but maybe, quite a bit of women, acts of services, door needs to be fixed or walls need to be painted, whatever. When a husband set aside some time to do that, man, that's how her love takers feel. Now, that's my primary one. The more seasoned I get, which I have a birthday coming up on Saturday, I'll be 52. The more seasoned I get, quality time. It's always been one, but acts of service is way up there. But now, quality time, because listen, we can never get time back. I don't want nobody wasting my time. I'm not going to waste nobody's time. I value my time. I guard it. I have boundaries in place, healthy boundaries. So quality time is very, very beautiful. And quality time is not about, them. Now, if that's their love language, you're going to do with them what they want to do, not what you want to do. But if quality time is mine and I want to go on a vacation or do something or go to a movie, I don't want you coming talking to me about no bills, about Sanju, Joe, and Jesse, and Raphael, and all that. No, you disrupted my quality time, my peace, and that goes back to what we discuss about people and things that we shouldn't be discussing, but even when it comes to, on the flip side, quality time, it's about meeting the needs of the person. And how can we meet them if we don't understand them? And then the gifts. It could be a flower. It could be something you make for them. It doesn't have to be expensive or elaborate, but hey, if you got like that, then do it. But how well are you meeting your spouse's needs, love language, okay? Okay. So now, let me wrap up. Lastly, if people don't want to share or elaborate on something, then respect their decision and pray for them. Okay, so when someone may not want to share more than what they've shared, don't be presumptuous and then make it about you and you become self-righteous and then you start forming all these ideas and notions about, what they didn't say or because they didn't want to say anything. No, don't do that. Just understand that they may be at a juncture, a road in their life, a process, and just pray for them. Now, don't pray your will. Pray God cover them, protect them, heal them, give them strategy, give them insight, give them clarity, understanding of where they may be, but more yet, the solution, your answers. Let them not focus on the problem, but let them see the solution, your answers, and guide them to it. Okay? So then that's one. Okay? Okay, so then lastly, and I'm getting ready to wrap up, if you've done your part and that's all that comes out of a situation, don't go into speculation, which is AKA your perception and being presumptuous. Listen, all the things that have happened in this world and what people have gone through and what they're continuously going through and what they will go through, sometimes they don't even know how to articulate it. You don't know how to articulate it. I've not known how to. But I tell you what, when you have the right support system in place, it makes life much better. It makes it easier. It makes it more doable. It makes you want to run on. Now, I'm going to be honest. My support is what I do in God. The intimacy, my relationship, all of that. That's number one. And then number two would be someone in the natural. I don't just pull on them to be pulling on them. And some of you guys have probably felt like you've had to go to people in the natural, especially before going to God. Please don't ever do that. They become your God. Please don't ever do that. And even when you have things in its proper perspective, correlation, God first and then the people, don't always run to the people. Because I say that because sometimes we can be insensitive because people, even the people that we can count on, they got things going on as well. Have you ever thought to say, how can I bless them? How can I be of help to them and of service to them? How can I show my love and participation to them? Or just strengthen them and pardon them or just pray for them, okay? So, and then some things we got to walk through alone. And when I say alone, without the people, but certainly with God, and never alone. And sometimes I feel like God may not be there, but he's always there. He's just sitting back, see what you're going to do. So I'm going to wrap this live up and say, let God show you you and the things about you that you've yet to discover and that you need to know. And even some things that you may have been and walked in presumptuously and in your own perception, which is self-righteousness and being critical and not really being, matter of fact, crossing boundaries, overstepping boundaries, going over the line, what have you. Because honestly, I believe that some people, most people don't intend to do that or don't mean to do that. But we have done that. Notice I said we, because I used to, and I watch myself now to not do that. And if I do, people in my life, I openly tell them, please, if I'm very connected with someone, I give them permission to call me out, to challenge me, to sharpen me, equip me, to help propel me. I give them permission to do that. And so, and part of that is, you know, have I ever done you like that? Do I make you feel a particular way? Have I ever been presumptuous? Just whatever the case may be. I allow them to share that with me, you know. And matter of fact, people in my life that are that close to me, okay, and it's not very many. If you can't do that for me, and I can't do that for you, then guess what? This is not a season where you and I can be like this. And matter of fact, there's been disconnect and distance placed in relationships that I had where that just was not, it was not transferable as far as reciprocal. It was not respected. It was not regarded. And then too, and I don't believe a lot of it was bad situations and bad things. I really, really don't. Sometimes people just don't know how to operate like that. They've not gotten to that point. And then sometimes there can be something about even you that may intimidate them. Okay, it may be that you remind them of someone that maybe didn't have that kind of relationship with them, and they don't know how to perceive you or receive you, even though you've relayed that information. And if that be the case, don't you dummy down, or don't you belittle yourself in the sense to where you allow and permit things that you know that you're really wanting to overcome and that you overcame, and they haven't because they've not been healed. Okay, so in other words, be the God who God created you to be, and continue to grow from that. What you don't want to become is to become stagnant, to where you begin to look like the mundane, the norm, the common. Because ain't nothing common and mundane and normal about you, me, or any of us, unless we accept that and embrace that. And this is not the hour nor the time to embrace anything but what God has and what he says. Because somebody got to stand up and be the difference and make the difference. And if you can't be it, you can never make it. So let God keep working on you. When I tell you, he's yet still working on me. So I hope when I show up, I don't show up the same in the sense to where I go back or I'm not growing. Okay? Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to let you all off of this live. And again, I pray and hope that I've shared something with you guys this morning that has been beneficial and has been a blessing to you. And remember, I do not have Facebook Messenger. Please do not message me through Facebook Messenger because number one, I don't have the app and I don't want the app. And then number two, there were too many viruses that came out years ago and still. So that's why people's pages are getting cloned because the Facebook Messenger. So I don't do Facebook Messenger. And I had someone that previously was presumptuous in their perception about some things regarding me because of, you know, they didn't have enough information. That's all I'll say about that. And ask me if I care. I've gotten to the point to where I do not care. I'm going to be who God created me to be. And if I'm not for you, I'm not for you. If you're not for me, you're not for me. And that's okay. Because God has someone that is for you, just like he has someone that is for me. And then he has people that I know who I'm supposed to align with, connect with, do whatever. Because I'm not for everybody. You're not for everybody. You're going to wear yourself down trying to meet everybody's expectations and needs through their perceptions and being presumptuous of you and who you are and what they think and feel of you. Okay, so I love you guys. My cousin Benita, you said thank you, cuz, for your message this morning. I really needed to hear all of that. Well, God bless you, beautiful. Let it be rooted and planted in you and seeded and watered and cultivated, that you begin to continue, that you continue. I'm not going to say begin, but you continue. And whatever journey God wants you to begin in this season, God grace you with that, with his favor and with his love, with his endowment and with his strength and with his joy and his peace. And you do things according to the peace and the leading of God. Okay? And not the perspective and presumptuousness and perception of man. No one. No one. No one. And when I say that, I don't even do what my kids, what my grown children, what my grandchildren, I don't do what they presume. And I'm not saying they do, but I'm just saying if that was the case, they cannot be have any perceptions in my life like that or be presumptuous over my life like that, because my life is governed by God. And anyone that does not like that, that is not my problem. I cannot care about that. And I love my children and they love me. So this wasn't to say they do that, but I'm letting you know they couldn't do that. And if they did, they wouldn't get away with it. I wouldn't care. I'll still keep loving them the way that as a mother, I'm supposed to love as a mother. So I share that with you guys. Be empowered. Know who you are. Don't let anyone else lead you by what they think and what they feel, because they don't even know what they think and what they feel for themselves. Okay? So I'm going to get out of here. God bless you all. Thank you for tuning in. Share the video if this blessed you. Bye-bye.